Good morning. How's it going, John? How's it going, John? Good. Just getting it together.
Awesome.
Yeah, I opened my
Um,
IRA account yesterday and
yep.
ended up calling TD, and I was like, yo, how can I get this available? Because I saw the markets pulling back. I was like, I'm trying to hurry up
Yep.
and get in there. And
Morning.
morning, Justin, how are you doing? And they were like,
Fine, Justin.
if you can get a verification of funds from your bank real quick, then we can go ahead and push it. Well, in the process of doing that, I was on my third call with TDA, and I seen my option buying power just click over, like switch over real quick, and I bought some puts on the spot. I immediately started losing, but as you can see, it gapped
Yeah,
down
you were
overnight.
totally right. I just got off the phone with TD, and they said I just got to get a verification letter from the bank, and then I'm good to go. So
Yeah. So just FYI for all you would-be troopers out there. I'm not sure if you guys watch Inglourious Bastards or not. That's one of my favorite movies.
I do actually. That is one of my favorite movies.
I wish there was a uh, at everyone for the Facebook chat so I can let everybody know. Like, yo, come join.
That's a piece of functionality that Discord has on Facebook. Huh?
Huh?
That is a pretty good piece of functionality that Discord has over Facebook.
Yes. And that's why I like it. That's why I was all for going to it. Let me switch to multi-stream. Let me make sure I push this out everywhere. Did I push it out everywhere? I think I did. Yeah. Yeah.
I also agree with the mindset that maybe leaving that Facebook chat for the heathens is the better idea. And leaving the Discord for business.
Yeah. It's much easier to
It can get
control. Yeah.
it can get pretty diluted.
I think for the most part we've kind of simmered all that down. I mean, I really want to keep this professional as much as possible. For the matter of, you know, this is a business of mine.
Right. Yeah, I definitely agree with you. Like I get pissed off for you when I see people posting weird shit in there.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, but I'm pretty good at just
Yeah.
keep on scrolling.
Fazio said, maybe I'm confused a bit. Is Tim and Millennial Investments one and the same? Yeah. That's me. Let's see. Somebody hit me up in the small account challenge, Microsoft Excel. I'm trying to determine how to track.
Yeah, so
Mm,
my bank opens at 9 a.m., so I gotta wait till then to call them and get that process underway so I can get going as quick as possible.
yeah. Um, Currently seeing the markets. They were sitting at a -1. They have dropped down to a -3. I'm about to track them again.
Hey, did you end up looking at that zone chart?
We can look at it real quick. Let's get an update
I'm
on some
just
things.
wondering. I'm just wondering if the
Whoa.
what I'm seeing is what I'm interpreting is like relatively not bullshit.
Yeah. Hey, check this out real quick. Let's get an update on the markets. Good morning, Reg. How you doing? I see we have a few people on the live stream. Welcome if you're new here. If you're not, welcome back. So one thing I want to point out real quick before we get into ZOM, and if there's any stocks you guys on the live stream want to look at, or even in the voice call, just throw it out there and we'll look. Um, the DXY just crossed over $93 overnight. Um, that's going to have a lot of downward pressure on the markets today. So For all you would-be warriors out there that are holding on to stocks long term, you're going to see downward pressure in those, and you might not see recovery on them. Now, if you do see recovery in some of these stocks that you're holding long term, then you have a good stock. But for the most part, I'm not seeing that in a lot of the stocks we've been watching. So that's why I'm not holding nothing long term, even though I have a lot of picks that I've been pushing and wanting to be in, such as RMO, such as GTech, such as Mogo. I love Mogo. I don't know why, but why it's so strong, I guess you could say, but I love Mogo. And I'm probably looking at doing some calls on it today on the sideline. Weird thing, just to add to this conversation, I created a new account with TDA, some of you know, and I went to link my account to my original one so that I could access it all together in one. And I found out I had like 2 other accounts already open I didn't even know about. So now I'm about to have my main account, which is the cash account with TDA. I'm going to have a IRA margin account, no taxes, but a $6,000 deposit limit, which is fine. I don't expect to have to deposit anything because I just put about $250 in it yesterday, and I want to build it up like I did my main account. I'm going to actually use that somewhat going into the April account challenge. For you guys that are aware already, we are restarting the small account challenge for April on April 1st. Of course, Friday's closed, so we'll have April to get started, and then we'll look over the probably over the weekend a little bit, with it being a holiday weekend. I'm not sure if we're doing this weekend's coffee and stock sessions on Saturday, but going into the next week, we'll be ready to go. That way it'll give us a day or two for everybody to get set up, answer any questions, things of that nature. But for the most part, we will be doing another account challenge from scratch on April, for the month of April, and going from there. Some more updates. I told you guys about a job offer that I couldn't refuse. It's going to be well worth the time. It's flexible, so I will be able to work from 7 to 4 or 8 to 5 or 9 to 6 or whatever. So that still gives me at least this 45-minute time period up until 8, or up to like an hour and 15 minutes with you guys before market opens. But before I would head into the office, so we would make our calls in our coffee and stock session, and what we're doing, and then we'll hop over to the Discord, and I can sit on the voice chat with you guys for the most part of the day, or at least through the Discord, to keep up with updates, sell signals and stuff like that, buy signals, reversals, whatever. And I'm also working with the team that I've been working on filling in my place a little bit more for tech analysis and stuff like that. We have some strong members from the Investors Talk community, currently talking with some other communities as well at the same time on the sideline about coming to collaborate with us. So what I really want to give you guys is a portfolio of traders, I guess you could say, to have different perspectives on things. I'm trying to still figure out how we're going to align that. When the stars align, we'll get it all set up though. But for the most part, we should still be able to do this every morning, at least from 7:15 to 8 a.m. That's Central Time, of course, and just go from there with it. But to get into the stock you wanted to look at, once again, if there's any stocks that anybody on the live stream wants to look at, feel free to go ahead and post it in the chat. We can look at them. Of course, you guys already know my perspective on the markets. I feel like we're going to continue pulling back. Like I just said a minute ago, you have to be careful on what you're holding at these price averages that you have them, because the markets are pulling back, but these stocks aren't recovering properly, and that's been a big concern of mine, and what I've been trying to forewarn people now since the beginning of March, when we saw the initial rotation start to kick in. I see you, Jeff. But I started noticing at that point that these stocks were not. Good morning, Leon. Reg, I already shouted you out. You're always here. Good morning to you, always. But I started pointing that out, is that these stocks aren't rebounding. Things like your PLTR, things like ZOM, for instance. I think a lot of expectation and hype on it into ZOM specifically. Oh yeah, live stream. Sorry, forgot. I got to do it on a Discord call. Good morning, Krista. I see you in the Discord call. If you want to say hello, feel free to do so. But for the most part, things like Zom, I think there's a lot of high expectations into it. Excuse my background. It's filled with all my daughter's toys. She has an abundance, and we have to put it somewhere to keep it from our animals. But anyways, going into it, as far as things like Zom, there was a lot of high expectations. I had high expectations in it. And of course, today's the 30th, so I believe they should be announcing their product release, right? Today? Is that correct? If somebody can clear that up for me. I stopped paying attention to Zom for 31st, so what, tomorrow? Okay.
Yeah.
So, and even with that being said, a lot of the time you'll see things like buying the expectation and selling the news, buying the hype, sell the news. So tomorrow's going to be a very telling day for something like Zom. As far as from a tech analysis standpoint, we've stayed above that 162, around that 162 support level, although we dropped below it there for the most part. On the daily, we were seeing some EMA compressions on it, some downward pressure basically is what I mean by that. And it's been trading underneath its EMAs all the way since looks like about the 19th. It hasn't really recovered. But this is a very key support level. It needs to stay above. It typically bounces off of these support levels, as you can see, all the way back in end of February, mid-March, beginning of March, excuse me. But we can look at the lower time frames just to see if we're seeing any proper setups for anything. The fact that it broke down right here and it traded on the 1 hour, John, and then it bounced and found resistance on those EMAs. This is a EMA compression, and typically you'll see a double EMA compression, and the lower indicators actually show that it's primed for takeoff to an extent, but it needs to break those EMAs first. If you're watching it on the 1 hour, I can help you get set up on your TOS with the same indicators that we use on TV. That way you can kind of see it real time and look at it every morning the same way. I think you can also set up exponential moving averages individually on TradingView. I'm pretty sure you should be able to. But having these bands, this is a custom script that I use that allows me to see it visually. But as long as you understand that, all right, we're trading under the EMAs, we're most likely going to have a strong resistance, trying to get back above them. But once we do have that breakout, then, that's our confirmation to go. And you can use the EMAs on things like stocks that are breaking out. I'm trying to think of a good example. If there's a stock right now that's at least up 100%, let me know. I'm not looking at my TOS right now, which I need to be live streaming here. Lucky you. I'm just gambling. So, too bad I won't be able to trade all day. See, we have a few people on the live stream. If you would, let me know who's there. Thank you for joining us. I'm going to pull up my TOS while we're sitting here talking. But typically, you can use your EMAs too. Because if you have a stock that's up 100%, there's going to be a large gap between, say, the 1 hour and the current price point. And in that, you can kind of gauge, if you even were to put on a Fibonacci retracement chart, you could potentially gauge around where it should land. And then once it lands, that's when you want to buy into it to catch what they call a continuation pattern, which a continuation pattern or a continuation breakout for other terms that may be used, is when a stock goes up 100% and it retraces at least 50 to 61, 65%, and then bounces off support and continues for an additional run for about 30 to 40% most of the time. Sometimes they're short-lived, sometimes they're much longer, and they work out better benefit. And that's initially how I was trained to trade, was going after breakout stocks. But it grew on me where I wanted to figure out how to find breakout stocks before they happen, because it's, of course, much more valuable, getting 100% on a trade versus 20, 30, 40% on a consolidation and continuation pattern. And so that's what I started looking for, and that's where I started focusing in on momentum trading. Um, of course, my EMAs were where I played that momentum. A lot of people focus on the simple moving averages, your 20s, your 50s, your 200s, and I get that. I'm not against any other trading strategy. This has just always seemed to work best for me, momentum trading. And so that's how I built our alert system out here at Millennial Investments, was to determine how we can identify those opportunities before they even occur. And so over the past, November, December, January, February, March, almost 5 months now, to the date, um, we've been testing that strategy out on a lot of our swing trades. And then here over March, we've done the small account challenge where we've done it as a group. I did it as myself starting out at the beginning of the month, and then halfway through the month, Reg actually gave me the idea of doing a small account group challenge so that people could throw some money at the market, low risk, like $200, and then we basically learn how to trade options and compound their accounts and their buying power based off of that, and utilizing options in times of market corrections. So that's where we're at now. And just to get back on track of what I'm talking about is I'm pulling my TOS up now. I'm waiting for it to load. There it is. Let me get it running, and I'll see if there's a stock that bounced 100% this morning, and we'll kind of analyze that, because I keep finding people that buy these stocks at high price points. Of course, when they're breaking out the way they are, you're going to hear a lot of hype behind them. People are going to be exploding because they're making money off of them and whatever. But it pretty much, by the time you hear the hype behind something, it's already too late. And I've always tried to stay in front of it. So like SNDL, perfect example. I was looking at SNDL back in November when they had finally announced that they cleared all their company debt. And from there, that really caught my attention to focus on their momentum. They're at 52 cents. And then everything that happened in the marijuana sector took off, and it just blew it out the roof. And I think they hit like $3-4 at its peak. I think we were up like 300-400%, like nuts. Or no, I think it was like 832% on it. So yeah, it was like 430 something where it hit. And then that's when I started seeing people finally coming in, and it was like, I'm holding SNDL. And I actually went back into SNDL looking for that continuation pattern after the consolidation, but it never really happened as strong as it should have to hold it up where it should have been. Now it's sitting around $1.15 or something last I looked yesterday. And so you find instances where people had probably jumped into it for $2, and now they're stuck holding it, waiting for it to return, and trying to figure out why it hasn't. Well, it's because the momentum's been lost. The hype was really the moment. I'll give the hype that, verification that it was really the momentum pusher behind the stock. But for the most part, like beyond that, it's just dead. And you have to understand how to find your bottoms. And until you can figure that out, which a lot about momentum trading will show you and identify you. I think a lot of you guys have been able to see this real time with some of our SPY plays and some of our QQQ calls and IWMs. I think those are the best things to use for momentum training, because the fact that they're so volatile at times, you can look at it sometimes and be overwhelmed by trying to figure out where the bottom's going to be next. And for the most part, like yesterday, we had great entries. We had, except with the exception of the first puts that I think we did in the morning, but we were able to capture the momentum enough to say, okay, we need to get out of this, and then switch over. And then we switched over, and then we split it again, I think, and caught the down. And then I ended up opening a new account, and then once it bounced back up, I ended up opening a new account and was able to catch it on the way down, which, just to look real quick on the SPY, and I'm using this as an example, John, so sorry if I'm taking forever to get to my analysis on ZOM, but I'm trying to forewarn everyone, for the most part, that if you hear a lot of people talking about something, you might want to really sit back and do strong DD, not just your typical, but also really analyze the momentum in the stock. And if it's gone, it's gone. You're already late for the party. there's always another party in the stock market. So the whole FOMO, or fear of missing out situation, with that being said, shouldn't even exist in the people that we trade with here at Millennial Investments. I never get mad that I missed out on a 200% gainer because I've seen so many of them. I mean, at one time, our top 10 was 300% gainers back in November, December. But of course, the markets have corrected since then, so you don't typically see that many performing like that. For the most part, you have to watch the markets. And if you know how to trade the markets, it'll help you better understand how to trade the stocks that you're in and what you're holding. And also track the spreads on the trades that you're holding, which is why we built our spread tracker. So you guys can have that tool to utilize as well. So you can understand that, all right, here's my midline support, my top line, my midline resistance. Here's my top line resistance and my bottom line support. And we can use that spread tracker to track where we started and where it ended up longer down the range. And that'll show you how well stocks are recovering. And it just doesn't seem like it's happening. And so things like ZOMs, things like SNDL, they're just dying out, slowly bleeding for the most part. And a lot of other stocks too, I mean, for that matter. Your PLTR, still love PLTR, but I think it's trading at like, what, $22? FCell's trading at $13. You know what I mean? Like, nuts where these prices are. CCIV's at like $21, $22. It was just posted around 30 after hitting 65. But, you know, and you would think that one thing that's identifying this even more to me is you would think these institutions would come in which they probably are already sitting there, but they would eat these stocks up long term for the long term haul of when the markets do finish their correction. And what I think is going to happen is where we get back into that natural growth trend of the market and the economy, where they're kind of more parallel with each other, and they would just be ready for that. But you notice that there's not these large rebounds off of these bottoms that you would typically see once a stock hits a certain price, where it just surges, because it's like, all right, that's the bottom, boom. You just see an influx of trading coming into it. And that's another thing too that I was talking about with somebody. I can't even remember who it was, but when you see a stock with a lot of volume, one thing you got to think about is somebody has to be selling that volume, and half of that situation could be profit takers because they may have had a sweet position on it. But at some point, it comes to the end of the line where who's really getting out of this anymore? And you got to be able to just decipher that and think about things like that as well. But so I'm just really focused on awareness. Tesla's under $600. First Tesla trade I ever made in my life was beginning of March or something like that, and it was a put option on it. And I remember sharing that with people on some of our other communities, and they're like, "You're insane." But one thing that I noticed about Tesla is it's not trading like Tesla used to trade anymore, and I think that speaks volumes for what is occurring in the entire market. You have a giant like Tesla, you would think people would be eating these prices up, but they're letting it fall so that they can buy it even cheaper. And they're okay with that. People like ARK are just eating up these low levels. So if you're really taking like a stance of market manipulation, it's not manipulation. It's letting it drop out so that it's a cycle, right? We're up, we're down. And when we're down, we're going to be up even more. So like that's things to think about as well. Like it's a philosophy, it's a psychology behind it, but also it's mathematics. Once the market's at its all-time highs, it's pretty much everything with it's peaked out too. So the only way to restart the cycle is to let it fall out, hit a bottom, a strong bottom too. I'm not talking about 2-3%. I'm talking about 10-15. A 10-15% correction in the markets are really going to weigh down on stocks where you can actually buy them for wonderful prices and hold them again and make the same money twice. Well, it's okay to make the same money twice, but what about making it 3, 4 times, 5, 6 times, over and over again on the same plays that you are strong about because you know that the fundamentals behind the company is going to allow the stock to continue to perform, so on and so forth. You let the markets drop out. That's the only way I know how to reset. If I'm in a stock that I bought at $10 and it jumps to 20, I don't want to buy it again at 20. I don't even want to buy it at 15. And it'd be nice if I didn't have to buy it at 10. But 15's okay because it's not 20, and I can at least make half of what I already made off of it again. So, just another philosophy to think about with these stocks that you people are getting in, holding, and thinking that they're just gonna go to the moon. I like the fact that we don't have a lot of people in our community that's always talking about to the moon, to the moon, to the moon, to the moon. No, because it's not happening. And for the most part, I've been trying to let everybody know that I think this is what's happening. This is my philosophy on it, at least, and it makes sense, and I'm seeing it play out every day. All right, that was this morning's rant. I'm sorry. Just wanted to share that with you guys. Going back to ZOM, though, you already know how I'm looking at this chart, John, after trading with this amount of time. For the most part, it's trading underneath those EMAs. It really needs to stay above the 162. For the most part, we stayed above 194. And I think we identified that pretty early on. I wish you could have caught it there, and just, I know you're probably holding this out because of the expectation of the product release, and I don't blame you. It's supposed to be a game changer in what they're doing, but all game changers aren't always taken in with open arms either. And that's the other half of the conversation that I think we need to bring into this, is the fact that, yeah, they might be selling this $3,000 product or however much it costs, but who's really going to be able to even pay $3,000 for it in these markets? And then the scenario changes with things like what industry you're in and stuff like that. So might not so apply here, but it's going to take time too in the sales process when you understand the concept of business. It's development, design, it's testing, proof of work, and then manufacturing, and then selling. So they've already manufactured it, they already designed and developed it apparently, and now they're starting to manufacture it out to start selling. They already did a pre-sale launch on it, but they still had to sell it. Now, the product release in itself is what you call a catalyst, but typically those catalysts aren't as strong as they used to be, in my opinion. And what I'm trying to say is, you're still going to have to wait for the process to go through where they're actually selling the product and it's starting to show up in their company earnings reports and their fundamentals. And then you have to gauge how it's affecting the fundamentals. And that ultimately is the best catalyst. Even if you have an earnings report, you see a sellout because everybody has expectations of high earnings report. Once the earnings report is released, then the stock drops down. But you have that earnings report run, if you want to call it that, after the fact. Once it sells out and it bottoms, it really surges a lot of the time. Not all the time. But you'll see that large surge because the expectation of the company is not an expectation no more. It's verified. It has valid fundamentals behind it. So I really want to, I'm watching ZOM for the fact of what happens tomorrow. You know what I mean? I wasn't sure if it was today or tomorrow myself, but just on the sideline, I'm watching it to see what happens with it. And we go from there. Things like BNGO, another one, just to kind of throw that one out there. It's underperforming, selling at like 770 the last I saw, and just blows my mind. But I had always said that it needed to break above that 936 level, and it couldn't do it. Right around here at 939, excuse me, I have my numbers wrong, but it's broken out before and it's came down. It actually lost momentum as soon as it hit above those levels for the most part. And this is on 30-minute chart, so you can see this in real time almost. And people probably would think, oh, we broke a resistance level, we're about to go to the moon, so on and so forth. But that's not really the case. We've pretty much pilled out here, just spinning our wheels until the car broke down. And now we're just trading below our EMAs for the most part. If I were to suggest any company, I would say look at the fundamentals. Do your DD as far as what the company is expecting out of themselves. Calculate that into future growth, and their rate of growth, and then determine, okay, if I buy this stock at $7, do I really expect it to be 14 in a year? Do I expect it to be 28 the year after that? Do I expect it to be, you know, so we're in this gray area between value stocks and growth stocks, and but from what I've heard is that they can't run simultaneously, for some reason, and right now we're in a period where they're trying to, from my understanding of it all. So what I'm taking from that is we don't know which way we're going to go. If people are going to go after value as far as the here and now, or if people are going to go back to the traditional growth stocks, which is what we've been in for the most part of the last decade, is a growth stock market. So it's just up in the air right now. And I'm not trying to speculate too much because I don't want to mislead in any kind of way. But at the same time, I just want to make sure awareness is at its peak. Now, I shared something over the weekend, and this thing's really working its way up. But the DXY is continuing to pick up. And yesterday, we actually used it to gauge the markets in making our trades. And we were out of the markets by 12 as a group. Some people were able to capture some gains. Some people are still dealing with technical issues and stuff with the platforms they're using, but we're all switching over to like TOS, which is a lot more efficient to use. You don't run into a lot of the problems that you see on the retail investor apps. But we got to see this in real time, back to my point. We incorporated how the DXY affects the markets overall, incorporated the 180 on all of our charts, whether it's the DXY or the markets that we're looking at. We've kept our momentum swing in place and understanding, how the EMAs play a part, and then how the MACD and the RSI and the volume weighted MACD verify what the EMAs are telling us in the momentum. And then we haven't even included like external factors like what's happening in the economy and things of that nature. But for the most part, we were pretty spot on with our entries yesterday and our exits after having a terrible Monday last week. We had a wonderful, I think, a sound and structured Monday yesterday. And the TNX, we've included that, which is what really started the great tech rotation at the beginning and end of February, leading into March. And if you look at that trend on the QQQ, which is your top 100 tech companies, for the most part, we've been in a downtrend since about mid-February in the tech sector. And we haven't broke that trend. And we should have last week. It's typically when I said that last week on Wednesday, I think. I said it was a very telling day. And I ended up losing money on Wednesday. Because I had expectations that we were going to break out. And we didn't. We got rejected on a triple top within a triple top. That's how strong it is to the downside. So a lot of your tech companies that people favor aren't just going to continue trading very well. If you do your DD on the stocks and they are sound companies, then you feel like it's worth holding. Hold it. Buy it cheaper as it continues going down. Yeah, what's up?
Any of these major growth stocks that have run up in the past year to 18 months, I'd be very careful with for the next week or so. Because with that hedge fund going down,
yes,
and the way they were doing it, a lot of these bank stocks are gonna be hurting.
yes,
And there may be some more forced liquidations, and these stocks that have run up 100% or more over the past year.
Yep.
That's what's going to get sold off first.
Yep. And that's crazy. I'm glad you bring that up. I haven't even talked about that on here. But it's crazy how much transparency changes the entire game. The effects and the weight that it carries in itself. Just being more transparent. That's all they're doing. They're not doing anything different. But now we get to see into their world and see what they're doing. And now they're trying to get out quick enough where we can't see, is how I see it. Like your VIAC, what happened last week, and somebody actually, I didn't verify it, somebody else in the community verified it for us to let us know that it was basically a hedge fund hopping out of it. And the stock dropped 50% from like $100 to $40. Boom, gone. In what, 2 days? 3 days, I think? Nuts. Just think, if you're holding that, you got your life savings in that. There's half of it. So, until I see some settling down in the markets for the most part, I'm going to be cautious in trying to hold anything long term. Right now, I need to take my daughter to school real quick. I'm not sure if you guys are up for, holding on to the call for about 10 minutes, giving me that time to go do that. On the YouTube live stream, I'm not sure. I'm going to add my Discord in here for you guys. You can join us on Discord. I will be able to hop on the call on Discord, but I think it's going to disconnect it from my YouTube live stream. I'm trying to figure out, I might make like a secondary profile that I can use on my phone to hop in the same call. And then that way we can still use our, matter of fact, I have one. Let me see if I can do that real quick. That way we don't have to disconnect the YouTube live stream and we can still talk with each other for the most part. Let me see. I think I have an old one I don't use anymore. But yeah, I'm trying to have it where even once we finish the live stream on YouTube and Facebook, that we can still have my Discord here at my office running to view the markets, and I can have all 4 of the markets picked up at once. Let me see if this lets me in. Oh, it's the same account. I could have swore I had a... Let me see if I can try to make one real quick. I could have swore I had one though on a different account. But yeah, I'm gonna have to take my daughter to school and then I'll come back. I'm not sure if anybody's gonna be willing to wait. It looks like they're already hopping off the live stream right now, which is fine. I understand. You don't want to wait 10 minutes. You got stuff to do in your day. But is this it? Yeah, see, I thought I had another account. What email? Cool. Reveal T-Burks, yeah. Alright, so I can actually leave the live stream running now. Let me invite myself to my own server. There we go. Question is, am I going to be able to hop over on here? T-Dog. Admin. Gotta give myself permissions. Premium. Alright. Cool. So, I'm going to run her up here real quick. I'll be on the call on my phone. Let's see. Super weird. Didn't work to begin with. Oh, that's cool. So now, even though if I have to leave, I can still run my live stream. So, sucks that the people had to leave, but whatever. You guys know I'm not really too stressed about it. Alright, Sorry. Alright, so I'll leave it running. Bailey. It's 8 o'clock, baby. Get dressed, like super fast. Calm down. I had them come wake you up. You didn't get up, so let's get up and get dressed real quick. Come on, we gotta go now. Don't act like that. Just get up and get dressed. You're making it worse on yourself.
Hey Tim, your voice is still on.
Yeah, I know. My daughter's having a panic attack on me. It's like, man, calm down. We'll make it. So is my live stream still working? Or is it staying
Yeah.
like that? Cool. So I guess I could have waited 5 minutes. Anyways. See, I think I can control it from the laptop too. What I'm trying to do is I'm gonna look at all the markets because SPY is trading below the EMAs right now, so I think for the most part we're gonna stay below that. But of course, it was above the EMAs yesterday. I think we're seeing the reverse of what we saw last week. There was a way I had it set up where I could do 4 different symbols at one time. So let's see. Five. Q's up here. WM. EXY. We'll also track Mark 2 and stuff. See what they're doing. They're still at a -3 for the most part. So the VIX has picked up about 0.5% since this morning. It was at 2.72 or 2.7. Currently sitting at 2.5 up today. One thing that I saw too was copper was up. It's come down a little bit since, or no, it was down. Sorry. It looks like crude is down, so any of your oil plays are going to be down. But what I'm really watching out of all of this is the international markets, because you can kind of use them since they open up ahead of us. You can kind of use those to gauge how we're going to kind of as well, for the most part. But yeah, as long as DXY keeps running, I'm gonna do puts today. We might see some spikes on the open, and EMA rejections is what I'm looking for. You know, excuse me. Something I want to point out on the SPY and the IWM or the QQQ is that the EMAs are now below the 180s, and if anything, I think that's going to play resistance on the spike. Looks like we're going to be winning. Didn't you have puts, Jeff? Not sure. Ready? All right. Repeat. At work. Cool. option chain. Ah, see our people on YouTube stuck with us. Thank you. Where's my TOS? Let's see what options we have. Is everybody still on the Discord call? If you would, let me know you're still there. Also, if you are listening on the Discord call, not sure if you were able to do it yesterday, but if you could, update your small account challenge balances, and I will be able to use that in order to make calls based on your current positions in your accounts. Looks like I'm gonna have to build that out though in order for me to see everything. Let me see. Do that real quick while we wait. The markets. Also, I need to track them. Market open. Still here making breakfast for the kids while all this. I don't know. Alright, cool. Today is Armo's earnings day. Happy dude. What's up? How you doing? Thank you for joining us. Aftermarket. Cool. So, yeah, we knew that they were having earnings today. We were actually testing the warrants on it. The warrants kind of bit us in the butt. New thing that we're trying. Haven't talked about it much until we can figure out exactly how to optimize on them. I think probably buying them when they're first released, if we can find out how to do that, would be key. And then basically snatching those shares when they peak out, I think, is what it seems like for the most part. But I'm going to leave that to Jeff and Justin. They're the experts on that in comparison to me, at least. But yeah, so Armo does have earnings today. I want to see if we will find support around the $9 range. On
Armo missed expectations by 40%, according to Robinhood.
What?
Yeah.
Let me see if I can find some news on that.
A little bit.
Was that this earnings report?
Alright, my fault. I think it's the wrong company. Who was I looking at? It was one of the EVs. I thought it was Romeo. Not G-Tech. I got a little notification this morning, and I was like, damn. That was when I noticed it was a $10. I was like, I figured they were related.
Yeah.
Who was it?
Yes. $9.
Oh, it was Rural Energy. I had their
Okay.
Romeo's not expected until after hours.
Yeah, Armo's not expected till after hours. Oh, you
Sorry
gotta
about that.
freak me out. I was like, what?
Let's see.
I wouldn't have had those expectations out of it. Which I don't have any, by the way, but yes, $9 and $10 is a strong support for RMO. It's actually a green buy zone between that level, all the way up to $11.90, I would say, honestly. Speaking towards what Happy Dude is saying on YouTube. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. I'm not sure, is this your first time here? You might see my screen flashing just because I'm working on the small account challenge tracker. Overview. I'm a bit pessimistic about Armo's earnings since it's pretty late till now. Yeah, I mean, pretty much what you see and can expect to see is a dip in the price points on earnings, but I'm looking forward to it for the simple fact that I want to see if they're meeting the expectations I have of it outside of, versus the street. But continued growth for the most part is all I want to see. Because first time saw this channel live. Okay, cool. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. Time. I need to put the time. And what else am I tracking for you guys? The totals. I don't need it to be get all amounts. Yeah, I should have did this yesterday. I just ran out of time. There's not enough time in a day for me. For sure. Too few arguments. Okay. I'll leave it behind me. So I've been constantly thinking about playing music in the background a little bit. What kind of music would you guys want to listen to? Thank you. Appreciate it. Date. I need to do yesterday. Okay, cool. There it is right there. Get all amounts yesterday. From the yesterday. Boom. There we go. I need users to display name. Member. And display name. Alright, so now I actually have an overview of everyone that was able to update their I have Justin, John. There's somebody else in here listed as INV-2724. I have to figure out who that is. Change that real quick. I bet that was like Jen or something. I'm not sure if Jen's on the call. I think he said he had a meeting this morning. He wasn't able to be here. See if I can get Dylan over here. Let's see what he's doing. He's been following crypto. He has some plays on is this recent? Leon, I just saw your message in Discord. I just hit you back. My question would be, is that recent that you dealt with those issues on the website?
Yeah, within the last couple of days.
Really? What pages was it?
I'll have to double check. Whenever I went on this morning, it actually wasn't acting up at all, so I was able to browse most of the pages.
Yeah, so I am in this dilemma with the platform. I have a lot of reorganization to do. Reorganizing. Because I'm having to build the actual website, and then the mobile side of the website, and then the mobile app side of the website, all simultaneously. So, and those are basically three different platforms in this one. If you look at it as separate things. So if I make an update to one, it might not correlate as well with another. And that's where we run into these issues. And I have to run in and make adjustments. But
when you're rolling out new information or new updates, which are you updating first?
okay.
Like, where can I find the most recent stuff? Would it be the website on my computer or mobile? Because I use kind of both interchangeably.
So looking at the analytics, 77% of our users are using their mobile device. And when I first started, I'll get to the answer of that. When I first started, I was only focused on the desktop because it provided you with the ability to have a wide range of tools available immediately. But once I realized that, I started focusing on the mobile. And so to fix the dilemma, I made the entire website, the entire platform, it's dependent upon the database. So the information's available from it being placed in the database across all three platforms. It's how it's displayed that's causing the errors. So I'm not sure if you like sitting on a laptop. I'm not sure if you like sitting on the phone. But for the most part, I'm going through, when I make a change on one, I go through the other one slowly to make sure that it doesn't break anything else in the same time and that it's displaying the information correctly. And that's really
interesting that it doesn't scale like for, because I used to build out like iframes and APIs for internets, totally unrelated. But anyways, I'm surprised it doesn't. You don't build it out and it doesn't scale based on the device that you're using.
It does automatically from the desktop version to a mobile version. But what I do on the mobile versions is I restrict certain things to make it more user friendly when looking at it. So it's not that it doesn't scale, it's just I'm trying to make this as user friendly without taking away the value and the tools that are available. And that's where the adjustment is.
Sense.
Yeah. So a lot of people don't understand why there's so many issues with it, but it's if you look at this database and you look at the infrastructure behind the website, it's like it's massive. And it's only me as far as building this out.
Wow.
And then all at the same time, I'm doing this all day. So I'm not always looking at the website. And when I run into issues, I'm like, oh, quick fix, bam, and I keep moving. But it's not always brought to my attention that other people are having issues. Like right now, our stock pages, our overview pages, I have to go through and pull it out of the mobile app version of the site, the platform, and put it back into the desktop in the mobile version of it. And then I have to rebuild it for the desktop. It's going to automatically work for the mobile version, but it's not for the desktop. And so right now, if you were to look at our stock overview page, it's really going to be messed up. And so I had to take some time to go fix that.
Yeah, like I just went to the trade alerts part of the website. I'm on my laptop now, and I got that 404 error page again. So it says 404 page not found. The page you requested was not found.
Okay, give me a second. I'm looking over here myself.
No worries, and I can keep tally of this. And
yeah, that'd be great. And
this later. That way,
yeah.
I know there's other stuff that's more pressing with the market about to open. So
right.
No worries.
And that is another thing too. Like I will build an issue channel for you guys to just report any issues that you're running into, just so that we can fix all that. First and foremost, like I use the website. I built the website for my own trading. That's why it even existed. For those of you who might not know, and then I wanted to share that with everyone else. So there's a lot integrated into it that has nothing to do with anybody else. And what's weird about it, I just went to the trade alerts. I went to the swing trades, and it popped up properly for me. So that's another thing. It's like one thing might be working for me, but it might not be for you, and that's what's off where I'm at with dealing with things like that. And then it not being reported at the same time is also another not an issue, but just another hurdle I have to hop over because I'm not necessarily knowing what you're dealing with. But I think what I've been thinking about doing is completely doing a new version of it, doing a lot of clean out, but that's going to take a month with all the work I'd have to do in doing that. So it's either patch it up or rebuild it. And I want it to be readily available at every second. Like yesterday, I woke up and it wouldn't even come up. And so I called the web host, and they're like, oh, apparently there's something wrong with the server, and they pushed a fix in like 10 minutes. But it's things like that, too, is the servers being, worthy of handling the traffic and the APIs. Like, I lean off of the TDA API, and that thing carries some weight, and the performance drag that it brings onto the server itself. And so the server's having performance issues pulling. I think we have like 92 trades open all at one time. And before it was like it would hit the database, find the trade, use that to go to the API, pull the information for that individual trade alert, push it back to the website, go back to the database for the next trade, hit the API, and it was a cycle. But now I have it where it's all in one query into the API, and then one pullback into the website. So we've been able to optimize slowly, but like I said, it's just me. So, and it sucks. I need like 13 of me so I can be in 13 places at one time, and I think I'd get a lot better push on this. And then the next thing is, me going after somebody else to join the team of design, and them not having the same visions that I have about these things, especially if they're just a web designer versus being in the markets too, and not having that correlation would make a difference.
When you are looking to start making some moves with the website, let me know. I've worked in the tech space for a couple of years. Have a lot of friends that are also traders that I could refer you to that could possibly help you out.
That would be great.
I'm not trying.
What was that last thing?
That's what I do. So it'd just be friends helping friends. So.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm all for that. I was actually looking at getting a trading team together. We were actually at the beginning of February or January, I think. There was a group of people I was working for that they were pretty much going to be where I'm sitting at right now, while I was just solely focused on development. And it just didn't work out because they have the programming to account for. But anyways, here we are. I'm on YouTube now. I'm not a YouTube person. You know what I mean? Which, is our YouTube even up? We still have people over there. Who's off of the YouTube live? I might leave it up today. I'm not sure. I see no reason to not, to some degree. But I was thinking that I might just leave it running. We're about to open. Oh, we just opened. Okay. So pulling down on the 5 EMAs on the queue. It looks like I am. Let's see where that second account is. I'm trying to double that second account up in the first day, and I'm up $61 on that SPY put. I put $250 in this account, so I'm currently up. I was down yesterday, so I'm actually in the green on it. And it doesn't have all my details in there. I have to build this thing out, like the rest of my stuff, I guess. Alright, Qs are breaking down on the 5 minute. DXY is opening up higher. IWM looks like it wants to break out on the EMAs, but I think for the most part, let's track the markets real quick. We're in a positive 3, but that's not because of the U.S. markets. That's because of the international markets. And so we have to be careful not to have that as a misconception in itself, really. That's why I have this heat map laid out the way I do, so I can see that it's not because of the U.S. markets. But for the most part, I feel comfortable with running puts on these. Of course, I don't want to rush into anything. We'll look into them a little more in depth before we make our decisions, see where they're sitting at on the longer time frames, things of that nature. I do have this pulled up here as well, so I can look at a few of these at the same time. Alright, so looking at the SPY, we have some confirmations to break on. These are the longer time frames. I need the shorter time frames. 15 second, 1 minute. Alright, IWM, let's look at it first since it's already pulled up. It tried to bounce off the open.
You just took a dump.
Yes, it did. Did you have you had a put on that, didn't you?
Yeah, I got a TQQQ put.
Yeah, I got you. For the most part, the IWM was showing weakness yesterday. It was trading under the EMAs on the 4 hour. It's currently trading on the EMAs on the 1, but it looks like it's trying to bend off of the lower RSI. I'm going to let it dip up a little bit before I even consider. It looks like it wants to on the 30 minute, so I'm going to let it do its thing over there before we jump into it. Let's look at the SPY real quick. Bitcoin's about to hit 60K, so you can expect some of those look at the IWM just trying to take off. It's about 215. Broke the 180 on the 1 minute. Still has some movement to make back to the 216.26s. What's the SPY doing? Is it picking back up? Nope. Dropping. Cool. Let's look at it on the longer time frames. Q's all the way down to 313 already. We have a key level to pay attention to. It's currently trading in this this compression zone. I'm looking for that 311.48 level for support and potentially snatching a call off of it going into today if we stick to this trend. If we break below that trend, that's my confirmation. I'm going to go ahead and hop in and take a put on it to come down back to those 307 levels that we saw before, but not entirely sure we're going to get that far down just yet. The SPY's looking good for potential puts on it on the lower time frames. On the longer ones, we are trading right underneath the 34 on the 30-minute, right below the 13 on the 1 hour, and right above the 13 on the 4. So this could bounce off of it. But the DXY is having a lot of pressure on the markets for the most part. Up 10% on that put that I bought on my second account that I opened already. And looks like, let me go back to the SPY because that's where I have the put at. I want to see if I can catch an exit on it here in the next few seconds if I need to. So another thing that we were testing over the week, this week, is to see if pre-market levels defines anything, after hours too, defines anything for the markets going into the next day. And what we've seen is the support levels kick in pretty well. And if the resistance levels are broken through on pre-market and they have higher resistance levels on after hours, it's typically where it'll stop at for the most part. So that's something else I'm going to be looking at. So I'm looking at intraday support for the most part right around the 393.89s, give or take. See how it bounces off that for a potential exit out of it. But what I'm looking at on the 5 minute is showing weakness and coming back down. If it goes into oversold status, then we'll see a double dip on the 5. I haven't seen it on the 1 minute yet, so I'm still waiting on that. Let's see, I am currently up $30 right now on that one put option. And I'm going to have my finger on the trigger to get out of it if we do not go below these 394.26s. Because it doesn't seem like it wants to. But I don't want to be premature either. Now the 10 minute was actually propped up. There it goes. The 10 minute was actually propped up to take off based on the lower 3 indicators. But we're seeing a semi pullback down there. So SPY on the 15 is having EMA rejections on the 34. I want to see the SPY below 393.48 is the 34 EMA on the 1 hour. It looks like we might break that pre-market support level or tap it before we get out of here. Wow, that reversed quick. Didn't even jump. It jumped down and my option went down. That's weird. If we see that 10 minute go red though on the MACD and stuff, I'm gonna let this run. Let's look at the Q. Q is just dumping. I don't want to be too quick to have people hop into the Qs for potential puts and then it only go down $2, where we could potentially do calls and it rebounds $4. So we would be looking at making $100 versus $2, unless it breaks those support levels, which actually are intersecting this longer term trend going back until the 10th or 11th of March up until now. It's that green line, and then the support level that was established all the way back on the 12th around the 311.48. The last time we broke 311.48 is when we saw it hit 308, So even if we were to wait to that level, we have potential to hit 309s or so, or if not lower, with this being in a downtrend. What's the SPY doing on me? Trading below EMAs on the 15-second and 1 minute and 5 minute. Showing some resilience on the 10 though. Still trading below those EMAs on the 15, on the 30 I mean. The IWM has since retraced from those 215 levels, sitting around 214. For the most part, it looks very weak on the 4 hour and the 1 hour, but pretty much oversold. It's still in an oversold type state since yesterday. Hasn't really rebounded from that, but the DXY is really bringing pressure down on everything. I want to see where the TNX is too. It's sitting at 175 right now. DXY is sitting at 93.30, give or take. It was at like 92.70 or 80 when we closed yesterday. Let's see. I'm really looking to get out of this SPY call because the expiration's like in 2 days. Or SPY put, excuse me. Because the expiration is so short, the theta is burning me. But I want to see how it reacts. It looks like we are going to retest that 393.94 level. If it breaks below that, which is our pre-market support, then I will be doing additional puts on this with my other account. And let necessarily mean that this can't reverse, but for the most part, I'm seeing sell volume come in on the 15-second pretty heavily and increasing. So I expect us to retest that level and then break down, but we could bounce right back off of it. So I'm not trying to speculate too hard, but the 5 minutes showing strong weakness. 10 minutes about to go red on the lower indicators. And it's bouncing off that 34 EMA this morning on the 30-minute. So I would say get ready for potential puts on the SPY for the small account challenge. The Q is currently at 313.13. Let me look at it. Trading below the 55 EMA on the 30-minute. Been below the EMAs on the 1 hour. Still about midway on RSI, so it still has some downside to it. Of course, we've already been talking about it. We're looking at support on 311.48 potentially. I want to see what the pre-market levels are for it. I'll go ahead and get rid of it right here so I can lower some of the burn on my processor. Let's see what the markets are looking like. We've since pulled back down since 8:30. Ultimately, since pre-market, we bounced up just a little bit. What's that?
Came down quick, wasn't it like a 3?
Yeah, right. Ago? And that's all. We just broke support on 393.94. Let's see if we stay below it, get those confirmations. We're about to go into oversold status on 1 minute. So what that'll end the 5 at the same time. So what that'll mean is we'll see a double RSI dip, or we'll see a strong bounce back off the 393.94. And I am up. I can't even talk. I'm up $100 today on that. I got it looks like 20% on that put option off the SPY, and for the most part, it looks like I'm gonna be able to capture more gains off of it. I am looking at April. I think the 5th, April 5th, potentially. Put options on the SPY just to be prepared. Good thing about it.
Nicker swim. It's
yes.
Like right there.
Yeah.
Especially on the computer.
Mm-hmm. So it looks like we're running into support issues now on that previous level of resistance. I'm not jumping into the put just yet because I expect that double RSI dip. Specifically on the 5 minute.
You gonna work here today?
Do it.
He's chewing somebody out.
Oh, okay, I got you. Yep. His typical morning exercise.
Yeah. He's like, you gonna work today or what?
Yeah. So
it's funny.
Typically, when you see what a double RSI dip is when it goes oversold and then it rebounds out of it, which is doing now. And then it will go back into oversold status again as long as it meets rejections on the EMAs on the lower time frame. So if you're looking at the 1 minute, I would watch the 15 second, which is currently seeing EMA rejections on the 34, and looks like it's going to reverse now and dip back down. Now the difference between a 5 minute and a 1 minute RSI dip is there's a longer time span. And the same thing for the 10 minute. 10 minutes take much longer for them to occur, but when they happen, they're very strong. So I don't want to get caught in buying something too early because of that. Crossing $300 on it, so I'm gonna ride it out for a little bit longer. Yep, just crossed 300. RSI coming in on 1 minute, and it looks like it's gonna take us to oversold status on the 5 as well. If you're on the YouTube live stream, if you would just let me know who's here still. If you would like, feel free to join us on our Discord, because I think I'm about to transfer to that, moving into our small account challenge, which we're only doing on the Discord right now. All right. So in looking for this bounce and the determination of the bounce, we're in a squeeze between the EMA and the currently the support level of 393.94, and we broke through the 13 EMA. 15 seconds retesting the 55 EMA and getting rejected there. So that's how I kind of gauge whether or not we're actually seeing a bounce or we're seeing just a double RSI dip. Now if we see a large surge right here coming up to the upside, then I'll probably go ahead and capture my gains off of that initial put I bought yesterday. Yeah, so all right, if you're still on YouTube, thank you for joining us. I'm gonna go ahead and shut this down. I want to thank you, and I only ask that you like and share the video with anybody else in the future. We always have our coffee and stock sessions about 7:15 Central Time or so, so feel free to join us tomorrow. Otherwise, have a good day and good luck.